Previously a rapper, Machine Gun Kelly essentially got bullied out of the hip-hop world by Eminem with his diss track a few years back, and ever since then he revitalized and revived his career by going into the pop-punk emo world. To so far what's been a pretty mixed reception. I think there are some die-hard fans of his out there that actually really like what he's doing in the pop-punk world, but I would say most people, particularly most pop-punk die-hard fans, have pretty much turned their nose up at what he's doing and has rejected him and has essentially labelled him as a bit of a poser and isn't really doing the genre a great deal of justice. I mean, I say that as being someone that also kind of agrees with that, although I do think the response has been a bit overboard at the music so far. I wouldn't necessarily say he's putting out awful music. I would just say so far he's been putting out pretty obvious, generic, adding nothing new to the table music. It's definitely not awful, but it's certainly not great either, and I could find God knows how many artists are doing the same thing better. There's a lot. So what do we get with mainstream Sellout? Well, more of the same of what he did with the last album, except this time there isn't a song anywhere near as good as Bloody Valentine, because as much as I don't like Machine Gun Kelly, I think he struck gold with that track. I thought that was an absolute teenage pop punk anthem that really brought me back to my Kerrang days, and I feel like that track could easily slot into any pop punk classics playlist and would not be mistaken as being one of those kinds of tracks. It would only be once you figure out that Machine Gun Kelly is the artist behind it, you maybe then be like, really, this guy did that? But seriously, man, I thought that was a pretty good track. I mean, it wasn't like a year defining, you know, list worthy song that I'm going to be going back to all the time, but I thought that was a good song. This album doesn't really have anything like that though. The closest I'd say to being like catchy or as memorable as that track, and it's still a bit further behind, is maybe actually Drug Dealer. I mean, the issue with that track is just the lyrical theme I just find a bit cringe, and surprisingly Lil Wayne slots into the song not too badly either. It kind of ends up being quite a well-rounded track in terms of how it's structured, and the chorus itself I think is catchy, but lyrically I think the idea of the song is pretty piss poor. I mean, it's a fool's game to expect any good lyrics from MGK. I think if you're out here praising his lyrics, you might be a bit mental, to be honest, when you've got tracks like Emo Girl, which is the most pandering bollocks you could imagine. Literally just wrote this song to pander to that type of teen audience, really. This is where I think the poser criticisms come from, because this just sounds like someone checked to see what pop punk is really about and what people in the emo scene like, and I'm just going to write a song that caters exactly to that. Even the Willow feature just doesn't really add a huge amount to the track either. I'm just not impressed with this at all. And then you got on Paper Cuts that line about how he's a genius and could have made Donda, but this song is for my dead father. Just a really awkward rhyme, to be honest, and isn't sold in a way that's kind of self-aware. It's just a bit, ugh. There are some really serious topics being dealt with on this album, and I think some people might dismiss those topics and in a way that could be a bit of a mistake, because towards the back end of the album, some of these tracks touch on some really deep topics about how he's dealing with loneliness, anxiety. Every day is an anxiety attack, he says. Lyrics like that are a bit alarming and kind of come across as quite scary to hear a singer saying things like that, because I know sometimes we forget that these songs are written by people, and this person could be going through something much deeper than we realize. So yeah, I think that's an important thing to point out, because there is some potential in Machine Gun Kelly tapping into these kinds of topics and expressing his emotions more, but he just does it in a pretty stale, by the numbers way that doesn't really add a huge amount. And then when you pair it with some of the really bad tracks that are just lyrically atrocious, it's just not a great sort of pairing, really. I think if he handled those serious topics better and paired them with songs that were written a lot better than they bloody are, then yeah, these tracks might have actually had a bit more of an impact, but they just don't, to be honest. But it's worth, you know, just being careful with this, because we've done this before with artists and just kind of dismiss their lyrics, and later on they are in an awful position health-wise, maybe even going beyond that. They're actually, you know, potentially committing suicide and things like that. So I would like to think reviewers out there aren't going to just bash him for all of the lyrics on the album, because there actually are some topics that are a bit distressing. I just wanted to point that out, just in case people out there are going to just kind of throw it to the wayside. There's an interlude setting up mainstream Sellout in the most on-the-nose way you could imagine, and the track itself, I guess, is attempting to be self-aware and, you know, from the perspective of his fans or general audiences that are just out here bashing him for being a mainstream sellout. In what context, I'm not sure, because I don't really think going in this direction can really be considered a mainstream sellout. It's not like topping the charts every week as a new pop punk band that are singing songs about how they hate their hometowns and how much pizza they eat. That's not really a thing. So I don't really know what context he's trying to go into here by claiming that people say he's a mainstream sellout. If they are, they're probably not really understanding what it means, or if they're not and he's just thinking people say it, then he also isn't understanding what it means either. There's definitely some disconnect there with whatever the hell that idea is about. Again, just a really piss poor moment lyrically. Fake love don't last. Out of all my exes, I'm the best one. That whole run of lines is awful. There's even one line about being left on red or whatever it was. Just, again, just a really immature perspective to be coming from. And you would label this immature if a teenager was writing it. I wouldn't hold back. No excuses for you just because you're 16 and you're making songs about these kinds of lyrics. That's immature. You gotta grow up, bro. But when you're Machine Gun Kelly, and I'm pretty sure this guy's in his 30s now, and he's writing songs like this, just has alarm bells in my mind as to why he's making songs about these things in such an immature way. He's basically up there with Avril Lavigne now, who also did an album this year that had some of the most immature lyrics I may have ever heard from someone of their age. It's insane. Also a bit of a poser trying to bring back pop punk as well. Avril Lavigne and Machine Gun Kelly, eh? Look, you don't get shit past me with pop punk, right? I'm in my late 20s now. Yes, it's sad. Maybe you're going to call me old. But when I was 16, even 15, maybe even 14, I was listening to all kinds of pop punk, right? And let me tell you right now, if you think Machine Gun Kelly is bringing anything new to the table in this genre, you are wrong. And if you think Avril Lavigne was in her album, you're also wrong. These guys are replicating sounds that have been made for years. The only thing that's different with MGK is that he's kind of bringing in a bit of a modern flair twist on tracks like A, which once again has Lil Wayne on it. And there's a bit of a trap rap sort of incorporation. It's a really poor fusion, but you can see that he's trying to make it there. That it doesn't really work too well, but he's trying something a bit more modern. But everything else on this album, don't be mistaken, this shit sounds like anything else in the genre that's been done to death for 20 years. I mean, the opening track, 4 Years Strong, did this 15 years ago, and then the third track as well, A Day to Remember, were doing this 10, 12, whatever many years ago. Like, it's like he's not really taking the genre any further. And compared to some of his peers, he's not doing a great deal with the genre at hand either. You know, Spanish love songs, they're not bringing a great deal new to the table in terms of ideas and sound or pushing the genre further. But by God, they can express so much in their lyrics, and their feelings and the emotions come through so well. And they're not writing songs like 15-year-olds would be writing. They're in their 20s, 30s, and they're mature about it. That's what Machine Gun Kelly is massively lacking. So I'm a tough cookie to crack, I think, with this, and I think Machine Gun Kelly ought to switch genres again. I wouldn't mind it if he just chameleoned and decided to do something else for the next album in a similar way to what Miley Cyrus seems to do with all her albums. She just shifts the genre every time. It comes across like the identity of the artist isn't really there, but I'm just here to say that I don't really think Machine Gun Kelly is bringing much new to the emo pop punk world, and if anything, he's kind of pissing on it a little bit by just writing incredibly immature lyrics across both albums now. His last album, this one, been the same. He's not a good songwriter, and if anything, it's coming across more like he's pandering to an audience than he's doing it in an authentic way. Like I say, troublesome lyrics at times, especially towards the back end, so I do want to just sort of say, hope this guy is okay mentally, because I wouldn't want to, you know, wish anything on him or anything like that. Why the hell would I? But hopefully he's okay. But everything else on the album is bad. Written by a child at times, to be honest, even worse than what a child probably could come up with. Yeah, it's a 4 out of 10. It's bad. I don't think I hate it as much as I know a lot of people out there seem to at the moment. I don't think he's on that level of bad. But he's just not doing anything I can really defend either. It's just a bad album. Thank you as always for watching. Thank you as always for caring about my opinions. If you would like to hear more opinions, subscribe if you haven't already. Would love that. Check out my Patreon if you are already a subscriber and you want to support what I do. Shout out to the people that support me every month. You are fantastic, and I would love to see more of you, you know, helping me out on Patreon. That would be wonderful. You get lots of bonuses by doing that as well. You can check the link in the description. Tell me what I should review next. Tell me your thoughts on this album in the comments. Have a good day. Goodbye.